Information. Must be an IKEA family member to participate. One gift card per IKEA family membership during the promotion.
Plumbing disaster, power out, furnace or AC failing? These can't wait, and neither should you. Four Seasons guarantees same-day installation with no extra fees for nights, weekends, or holidays. Call your trusted local expert today at 866-4Seasons.
Hi, I'm your kid's old jeans. I've been in the drawer for a while and really missed the playground. You should swing by Goodwill and drop me off. Donating me helps Goodwill's mission to provide career training and support services right here in the community. Plus, I can get back into the game. Donate today. Tag, you're it.
To find your nearest Goodwill locations and to learn more about our mission, please visit goodwill.org. Goodwill, where your things start new lives.
With over 20 years of generous community support, Wounded Warrior Project has helped post 9/11 veterans and their families with no-cost services, legislative advocacy, and more. And we're just getting started. Visit woundedwarriorproject.org/possible.
This is ESPN Chicago, WNVP, WTBC, HD2 Chicago, a Good Karma Brands radio station.
ESPN 1000 presents The Fantasy Football Show with Jeff Meller. Hard-hitting fantasy info to help you land that dub this weekend. Jeff Meller shares the latest news, injury updates, and tips to help you set your lineup. The Fantasy Football Show, presented by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey. Your football Sunday starts now with Jeff Meller on ESPN Chicago.
Football. Yeah! All right, game week 1. It is here, folks. You can feel the crisp autumn air when you're walking outside in the beautiful city of Chicago. We are back. We made it. A long summer of training camp, nonsensical stories to keep us placated while we awaited today. It is finally here. It is like Christmas morning. If you're a football fan, the first Sunday slate has finally reached us. We made it, and I know you can't wait just like me. We're back here, the Fantasy Football Show, with me, Jeff Meller, for the 13th season here on ESPN 1000. And I do briefly want to take a moment to mention, of course, this is actually the 25th season of Fantasy Football Talk here on ESPN 1000, as one of the original OGs, one of the forefathers of Fantasy Football Talk on the radio, Harry Teinowitz, started this show, or at least something of this show, way back in 2000. And, of course, if you listen to this station, you certainly know that we lost Harry earlier this summer, and dear friend of mine, sadly going to miss him, of course. Bit of a hole in my heart. Just finished the fantasy football draft with the league that I participated with Harry for probably over 20 years now. So just wanted to, of course, recognize the loss of Harry Teinowitz, who did originally begin Fantasy Football Talk on the radio. Again, long before podcasts existed, long before iPods existed. So just wanted to take a brief moment here at the start of the 2025 season to remember Harry Teinowitz, because I know a lot of listeners out there are certainly familiar with Harry hosting this show. And I've obviously been doing it for a long time now, but of course might not exist if Harry hadn't had the foresight to push for a fantasy football show on Sunday mornings way back before the internet really took off, when you actually didn't have all this information at your fingertips to overwhelm you. There was Harry Teinowitz talking fantasy football on the radio. So before we get going, I just wanted to remember and mention my longtime friend, Harry Teinowitz, who we lost earlier this summer. So thanks for indulging me, and just think of him a little bit today as you're setting your fantasy football lineup. If you're unfamiliar with this show, the number, 312-332-3776. As always, that's going to be the phone number you're passed to get in each and every Sunday during the football season, 7 a.m. Central Time. Podcast always gets posted shortly after the show wraps up, but every Sunday morning, 7 a.m., usually prior to our Bears coverage when we launch into all day long at 8 a.m., But of course, because the Bears are playing on Monday night tomorrow night, we have no Bears coverage today. We'll actually have White Sox baseball coming your way at noon, which, hey, I'll be here for that, for your pregame show festivities. But you're not here for White Sox talk right now. That's at noon. Right now, you're here for fantasy football talk. And yes, so what we do here, if you're unfamiliar, basically I will run through all the key injuries, the news and notes here early on, get you caught up in all the information, the latest that you need to know of from the NFL insiders. And then after that, we'll field your calls. One question per call. Can't field your whole lineup for you, but we can troubleshoot any positions you're having an issue with. And we roll from there. That's basically the plan of action. If you're not a huge fantasy football player, that's okay. We're going to be chock full of NFL information for you that you're going to want to be aware of as you maybe place your bets throughout the day, or if you're just getting ready to watch an NFL Sunday on the Red Zone, we're here for you to get you caught up. So that's the deal, and here for you each and every Sunday morning starting at 7 a.m. Let's get it rolling, Jake. All right, let's start with what is clearly the biggest fantasy football story as we get week one going.
Ferguson, the veteran long snapper, it is put down. The kick is up. Tyler Bass is good from 24. It's a field goal game. 6-3. Bears have the lead. 9:15 until halftime.
Of course, Tyler Bass is likely out tonight for the Ravens. If you drafted Bass as your kicker, make alternative plans, folks. Best kicker on your waiver wire, go grab him, because you're not going to have Tyler Bass to use today. The Buffalo Bills signed Matt Prater earlier this week. They elevated him from the practice squad yesterday. So Matt Prater, if you want to just pivot immediately to the other Bills kicker, and of course, Prater has had a very long and successful career, so he could be an alternate plan for you. But yes, clearly the biggest story in fantasy football is that Tyler Bass is not going to be available in Sunday Night Football. Of course, that's not the biggest story in fantasy football, but I bring it up because I wanted to make sure that everybody's aware. Oftentimes, the kicker news, the information that can slip through our fingers, and I wanted to make sure that anybody who drafted Tyler Bass was well aware from the outset that you may need to make, or you should make, a different plan today.
Purdy gets the snap, turns, hands off McCaffrey. McCaffrey up the right side, into the end zone. Touchdown 49ers. McCaffrey's 6-yard touchdown has given San Francisco the lead.
Deja vu from last season? Yes, I do believe that's what it feels like right now with Christian McCaffrey, who popped up late Thursday on the 49ers injury report dealing with a calf issue. They said it was maintenance, and then all of a sudden he didn't practice on Friday. Now, all of the latest reports from your NFL insiders, your Schefters, your Rappaports, it is that Christian McCaffrey is trending towards playing. So I think this is certainly something likely to play, right? And so that's good that he's likely to play. But, of course, it's very alarming that we're exactly right. It feels like right back to where we were at last season. The only difference from at least where we were at the start of the season last year and today is that I don't believe we had any awareness, because the 49ers were playing on Monday Night Football last year to start the season. We didn't have any awareness that Christian McCaffrey was about to not play in the 49ers season opener. Now, he's likely to play. That's the latest I have for you. It's a 3:05 kickoff, 3:05 Central Time. So, plan accordingly. What does that mean? I can't tell you, and nobody out there will have any definitive word in all likelihood before the inactives are in at 1:30. So it seems like he's going to go, and hopefully you have an option to turn to in the event that we get some news around 1:30 today, after a lot of the games are already kicked off and going. Have somebody to use in McCaffrey's place. Obviously, if he's active, do I really need to tell you? You need to start him. But it's not great, but it feels okay. I feel better today than I did on Thursday and even on Friday when it was kind of ambiguous about whether or not he was going to play. They kept saying rest, and again, though, he had not practiced. So likely to play. I like hearing that, but make sure you either have someone like Brian Robinson ready to go, and if you're a McCaffrey owner and you don't own Brian Robinson, what's wrong with you? Why did you wait till now? But hopefully you can go scoop him up this morning, right now, off of the wire. Add him to your roster if he's available. He may not be. He may already have been scooped up by an opposition opponents. But nevertheless, if he's out there, go grab him. I suppose you can also turn to Isaac Guerendo if Robinson's not available and Guerendo is. I do think, especially this first week here, if McCaffrey does not go, I think it's certainly possible that Isaac Guerendo could actually see more carries than Robinson. There were reports that Brian Robinson does not know the entire playbook just yet. He was, of course, traded from the Commanders to the 49ers in August here, and so he hasn't had a full training camp to ramp up. So this one, if McCaffrey's not going, I don't feel great about using Robinson. So I would say if you have a different option, if you have someone like Tony Pollard who's playing in the 305 game against the Broncos, on your bench, he's not started in your lineup. If you had a Pollard to turn to, if you had an RJ Harvey in that same game who you're not necessarily starting, I think those are two players who are playing in a 3 o'clock game that I would certainly turn to in the event that McCaffrey all of a sudden was ruled out. And if it was like Robinson versus Pollard or Robinson versus Harvey, I would definitely use the other two over Robinson today. Robinson's kind of a last ditch. I have no one else playing in these late games that I can trust, but I wanted to hold out hope that McCaffrey would play. And again, the encouraging news is that he's likely to start. So obviously that's the biggest story in fantasy football today. We don't have exact clarity, but we have positive news.
Snap to Kirk. Here they come. Got to get rid of it. Lob for Mooney. Caught. 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown Atlanta. 4th and 1 is the home run ball for Darnell Mooney.
Darnell Mooney still dealing with that AC joint shoulder injury, and he's questionable. Honestly, they get the Bucs today. I just don't really want to use Darnell Mooney. I don't think he's a big enough fantasy difference maker to roll the dice with him, even if he's playing in this one where he is in any way compromised. So personally, it's always based on your options, but not feeling great about using Darnell Mooney today. If you have someone else that you feel decent about, it's week 1. Hopefully you've got some decent options on your bench that you can turn to. So I would advise, if you can avoid Darnell Mooney, I certainly would.
Dropping is Trevor. Looking, fires right side. The ball's caught by Christian Kirk near the pylon. Touchdown! Trevor Lawrence and Christian Kirk for the score, and the Jags have taken the lead.
All right, Christian Kirk no longer a Jag. He is now a Texan, but he's been ruled out with a hamstring injury. So if you scooped him up, especially in PPR formats, and you wanted to use him, do not use him today. And this kind of serves as twofold because Trevor Lawrence no longer has Christian Kirk to throw to, but you may have seen and heard that the Jaguars invested somewhat expensively in another pass-catching option. That, of course, is Travis Hunter, the Heisman Trophy winner from the Colorado Buffaloes. He will make his NFL debut today, and the reports are that he is going to essentially play all the offensive snaps that he can. So even though we know he's going to be a two-way threat, going to be used as both a wide receiver and a cornerback, it looks like his primary focus, at least early on here, according to reports, is that he will be a wide receiver. And then as a cornerback, he's not going to be necessarily playing every single snap. I think that's better news than what I initially suspected was going to be the case. I thought his primary role might be more as a cornerback and then somebody who we saw used as a wide receiver more often on third down. But this is good news if you drafted Travis Hunter with a 6th or maybe even a high 5th round pick, which I think was a little aggressive, but I think these early reports, I think that actually gives you a decent chance of returning value on Travis Hunter this year. So if you drafted him, I think you can feel comfortable about using him in your flex spot as like a wide receiver 3. Hopefully he's not your second wide receiving option just yet, although he could certainly pay off. I think in that offense with Brian Thomas likely to be the alpha this year in the offense, I think Travis Hunter's looking, if I had to just project, I think he's probably something like a 70-catch, 1,000-yard receiver this year. maybe scores 6 or 7 touchdowns, which is perfectly acceptable. I don't think he was worth necessarily the spot you had to select him in fantasy football drafts, but at this point, you've already got him on your roster, so I think you can feel pretty decent about using him today based on the early reports that he will be out there for all of the offensive snaps today against the Carolina Panthers in Jacksonville today.
Back to throw Sua. Looking. Fires deep down the right side. He's got Tyreek. Touchdown, Miami.
Tyreek, that separation he gets on the outside is just ridiculous.
I don't think I need to say this, but if you drafted Tyreek Hill, you're probably going to want him in your lineup. Expected to play today. I know he's been dealing with some injuries, but he, I think, is still a difference maker. The way the season ended for him last year was a disaster. But listen, if you drafted him like I did in a couple of leagues, I think he's definitely worth keeping in your lineup. We know he's certainly capable of those explosive plays that can make your week, and he can be a league winner too. Last year, he was, for the most part, the second overall player off the board, and I think, honestly, if you drafted him, he needs to be in your lineup today. Devon Achane looks like he is going to play as well. If you drafted him very highly, so he should be in the lineup as well.
Reed in motion to the right, pitch, Reed around the right end, gets a block from Taylor, makes the turn to the goal line. Is he in? Yes! Touchdown! Green Bay Packers! Jayden Reed!
Wayne Larrivee there on the Packers Radio Network with the Jayden Reed touchdown call. Sounds like he's dealing with a Jones fracture. I'm avoiding Jayden Reed, starting him at least in the first week here. I want to see how it plays out, especially with the fact that the Packers drafted Matthew Golden and glowing reports from Packers camp all offseason about how well Golden was acclimating himself in that offense. Jayden Reed is somebody who, especially, he's kind of a boom or bust player, and so I don't think week one, with him dealing with an injury, even if he is active, and again, they're in the later game, the 3:25 game for the Packers as they host the Lions at Lambeau Field, I don't necessarily want to use Jayden Reed in the first week. I kind of want to see him out there functioning well before I just plug him into my lineup. So there you go. There are the key injuries. The good news is it's week one. We're not overwhelmed with too many injuries here early on. I guess I should mention Matthew Stafford. Looks like he's going to start for the Rams today. At least that's the early word. So feel good about him. And you drafted Puka and Adams high, so use them as well in your lineup. Aside from that, not too many injuries that we're not aware of. I think I hit on all the key factors there. I guess I could mention also that Caleb McGarry, the right tackle for the Falcons, is out as he will block, or he was slotted to block Michael Penix's blindside, and obviously it's the starting right tackle for the Falcons there. He's out, so that could compromise their offense a little bit. You're still using Bijan Robinson. You're still using Drake London. I'm maybe a little bit more hesitant if I had Michael Penix probably in a super flex league as a second quarterback. If you have another option, wouldn't necessarily hate using somebody else there. So there are all the key injuries to be aware of. Again, 312-332-3776. That is the phone number if you want to jump in and talk some fantasy football with me, Jeff Meller. Again, this is the Fantasy Football Show presented by the fine folks over at Tullamore Dew, the Irish whiskey. Do thank them back yet again for another fabulous year of fantasy football talk. Take your calls next right here on ESPN 1000.
Don't go anywhere. The Fantasy Football Show with Jeff Meller, presented by Tullamore Dew, will be back with the answers to all your fantasy football dilemmas on ESPN Chicago.
Do you have trouble getting in and out of the bathtub? Are you afraid you'll slip and fall entering or exiting a tub? SafeStep walk-in tubs can transform your bathtub from an area of concern to a calming refuge. Call them today at 1-800-731-4558 and save $1,600. SafeStep walk-in tubs and showers are proudly made in Tennessee and offer an ultra-low step-in, avoiding that difficult climb over a traditional bathtub wall. They also offer a variety of therapeutic benefits that may help soothe your aching muscles and joints, increasing your mobility, boosting your energy, and improving your sleep. SafeStep walk-in tubs are designed to easily fit your existing tub space and are often installed in as little as one day. Just dial 1-800-731-4558 today to save $1,600 and receive a free shower package. That's 1-800-731-4558 for a free no-obligation consultation and to save $1,600. Safe Step walk-in tubs. Safety never felt so good.
It's fall again, and that means football, falling leaves, cozy fires, and, of course, a fresh haircut at Great Clips. Whether you want a whole new look for the season or just a trim on a cut you already love, the skilled stylists at your local Great Clips salon are ready to bring it to life for less. With convenient online check-in, you can add your name to the list and stop in whenever it works for you. They'll even send you a ready next text when you're up next for a haircut, so you can get all of your fall errands done rather than waiting in the salon. Once your cut is finished, the friendly stylists at Great Clips will save the details in clip notes so you can get the look you love every time you come in. And the best part? Great Clips' everyday affordable prices means you'll have money left over for fall fun as well. Look your greatest for the new season. Download the app and get into your local Great Clips salon for a fresh fall haircut today. Great Clips, it's gonna be great.
Hey guys, it's Sylvie. You know those old drafty windows that let all the cold in and just don't look right? It's time to upgrade, and Window Nation can get it all replaced in a day or less. Right now, they've got an amazing deal. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for 2 years on top of that. I trust Window Nation because I've got their windows throughout my own home. I've seen the quality and the difference they can make. Call 866-90NATION or visit windownation.com for your free estimate.
Illinois State University offers more than 150 majors, from accounting to zoology, and we're adding new areas of study all the time, like engineering, sports communication, and data science. Check out all our offerings at illinoisstate.edu/majors and apply today.
Hey, it's Joe Aurelio, and it's time for Aurelio's Pizza, Chicagoland's oldest pizza chain since 1959. Indulge in our crispy thin crust, signature sauce, and 100% real mozzarella. Visit Aurelio'sPizza.com for the location nearest you. Aurelio's Pizza, it's a sauce.
You're listening to The Fantasy Football Show with Jeff Meller. Presented by Tullamore Dew on ESPN 1000 and the ESPN Chicago app.
4th and 3. He looks at a 4-man front. They bring the blitz. They're going to bring 5. Prescott winds up arching spiral far sideline. Diving attempt. Lamb incomplete. Off his outstretched gloves.
Cowboys lose on Thursday Night Football. I guess it was Sunday Night Football on Thursday night, the NFL opener, as CeeDee Lamb, who had a big night, 100 yards receiving, but could not pull in a couple of late passes that certainly would have padded his stats and made fantasy football owners very happy indeed. And unfortunately, you'll just have to settle for a cool hundo, my friends, on the yardage total. But, no real actionable move on CeeDee Lamb. He's a really good player. He dropped a couple of passes. Chances are that that won't be a consistent theme for him throughout the season, but like to see Dak pepper him with a lot of balls, and that was certainly a productive night, even though he didn't get into the end zone. Javonte Williams, maybe that's the actionable move. If he's still out there floating around in your free agency, obviously today you can't make a move. He's locked for lineups, but if you can add him, I think he will certainly be somebody that looks like he's going to be the lead back in that Cowboys offense, and a couple of touchdowns on Thursday. That was certainly some production that you like to see. So maybe a little bit of clarity there as Jaden Blue was inactive. Certainly, if you drafted Jaden Blue, keep him on your roster for a few more weeks here. I think he'll eventually get worked in and could even be the lead back by the end of the season. But if Javonte Williams was not drafted in leagues where it's a little bit, the bench is a little bit more shallow, then make sure that you make him somewhat of a priority here coming into the Week 2 waiver wire additions. Again, I'm Jeff Meller. This is the Fantasy Football Show here on ESPN 1000, back for my 13th season hosting this show with you each and every Sunday morning prior to Bears games, of course. Bears playing on Monday Night Football. So we will have a full Bears Bonanza coverage day for you tomorrow, Monday. But today we're talking NFL football with you on ESPN 1000, 312-332-3776. That's the number if you want to jump in and talk some fantasy football with me. Let's go out to Bridgeport and say good morning to Tom. What's up, Tom? How you doing?
Hey, Jeff. How you doing?
Doing excellent.
I need 2 of these 3 in a nut PPR. Ricky Pearsall, Travis Hunter, and R.J. Harvey. 2 of the 3 in a nut PPR.
It is or isn't PPR?
None PPR.
Okay, so no PPR. So Hunter, Pearsall, or R.J. Harvey. So I think without PPR being a factor here, Tom, I'm going to still roll with Ricky Pearsall. Juwan Jennings, who's, whether or not it was a real calf injury, he wasn't really active with the 49ers during training camp this year. So I think Ricky Pearsall will probably be the second most likely target for Brock Purdy today. He'll probably see the most targets after George Kittle, who I anticipate seeing the highest volume today. And, of course, Christian McCaffrey, whether or not he plays, again, that he is likely to play. That's all the early reports. He'll also be sprinkled in quite a bit. But I think Pearsall is probably likely to be the highest target getter in terms of wide receivers. So I think you definitely want to use him. Hunter versus Harvey. I think based on the reports that Hunter's going to play almost all the snaps offensively for the Jags, I would go ahead and use him early on just because even though I think a lot of people are anticipating R.J. Harvey will, by the end of the season, be the lead back for the Broncos, I kind of want to see how the carries are divvied up, especially with J.K. Dobbins coming into the season healthy. I think he'll probably see more carries initially than R.J. Harvey. Now, Harvey, could have a decent pass-catching role with the Broncos, but again, he's a rookie, and they still have Jaleel McLaughlin, who I know, Sean Payton likes. He's explosive. So I think there's a chance that R.J. Harvey's more of a, later season play. So for the first week, I'm not rushing to get Harvey into my lineup if you have him out there. If you're completely desperate, fine. But I kind of want to, I don't want to throw him into the lineup sight unseen. Let's go on out to CJ, who is in Shanahan. Siege, what's up, bud?
Good morning, Jeff. I have a quarterback dilemma here between Caleb or Jordan Love.
All right, Caleb Williams versus Jordan Love. I think I'm going to use Jordan Love against Detroit today. And listen, I'm very optimistic, CJ, about Caleb in Ben Johnson's offense here this season. But, it's one of those things where I think a lot like what I just talked about with Harvey. I think for Caleb, it's going to be a progression as the season goes along and he, feels more comfortable in the offense. I think that's when he'll be more of a fantasy factor. It's certainly not a great matchup either with Brian Flores and the Vikings defense. So I would say let's roll with Jordan Love, who I think is going to be a much more productive passer for fantasy purposes this year.
Thanks, Jeff. Good luck today.
You too, CJ. Thank you. 312-332-3776. That's the phone number if you want to jump on in and talk some fantasy football with me. That is how our buddy Dave in Wisconsin. Dave-O, what's up, bud?
What's going on, Jeff? Sorry to hear about Harry. I love that guy.
Yeah,
he was a great guy.
We all did, Dave. Yeah, no, definitely. So thank you, man.
I've got a PPR question here. I need 2 or 3. And I don't want to take up a lot of time. How would you rank these guys the rest of the year? I need 2 of these 3, Flowers, Judy, and Sutton.
And it's
PPR.
PPR. So I have Sutton and Flowers very close in PPR. And so, this is one of those things where knee-jerk-wise, as we, I don't know if I have like an end-of-the-season rankings right now for you, Dave. I think the way I went in drafting them, especially in PPR formats, I lean towards Zay Flowers just because I think the volume for him is likely to be a little bit more than with Sutton. But of course, I like Sutton the way he's used around the near the goal line in the red zone for the Broncos. He's very prolific, so I like that. So I kind of have those two a clear cut above Jerry Jeudy for me. In again PPR, I think I would lean towards Zay Flowers for the entire season. And I'm glad you asked it that way, Dave, because what I do want to point out is the way I assess things going into week one, I'm not overly concerned about the matchup because honestly, I think we don't know enough about teams entering week one. We assume we know everything, and a lot of times it's carryover from the previous season or two, but things change dramatically from year to year in the NFL. And so I think being afraid of any one particular defense is kind of silly entering week one. So for me, it's more about, okay, coming into the season, who am I using? It's primarily based on how I rank them going into the draft, right? And for me, PPR, Zay Flowers, just slightly above Courtland Sutton. And of course, I think it's worth noting that Jerry Jeudy had a monster season last year. But of course, it was with a lot of that was done with Jameis Winston as his quarterback, right? So now with Joe Flacco, who I think is certainly a better option, than what we saw for a large portion of the year with Deshaun Watson last year. I don't know if Flacco is going to air it out quite the way that Jameis Winston did last year, right? So I kind of want to see Jerry Jeudy a little bit more. Now, it's not saying I'd cut him or anything like that, but for me, it's Flowers, Sutton, and then Jeudy.
Which two out of those three do you like today?
I still, same thing. I like Flowers and Sutton. It's one of those things where I'm not going to, thanks, Dave, for the call. I'm not going to, really be too concerned. I guess I understand it's probably, the Bengals, that's the defense that the Browns are going up against, and everybody is telling us based on last year, that Bengals defense is horrific. We saw that last year. That's why, part of the reason why Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Chase Brown were such high picks in fantasy, because they piled up these huge numbers because they were often just in shootouts. And everybody assumes, the Bengals didn't do a whole lot to help their defense in free agency, so they're going to be awful again. And that may be the case, but it's one of those things where I don't want to assume that I know that for sure. Let's kind of see it play out. I'd roll with Flowers and Sutton just because I think I like them in their role in their offense. And, before I make any split judgments about defenses, I'm going to wait a week or two before I necessarily assume I know how to deal with that. Let's try Scott, who's in Maryville. What's up, Scotty?
Hey, my good man. Let's see. It's a full PPR. It's just one of these four receivers. I had Xavier Worthy as my other, so it's why I'm screwed here. But I got DK Metcalf. I got Rome. I got Ricky Pearsall, you just mentioned, and then Jamison Williams. Right now I have Williams in there slotted. I feel like he's the biggest home run, but I don't know. All those guys will probably get looks, so I just wondered who you like out of those four.
You just need one of them?
Yeah, just one.
So Williams, Metcalf, Pearsall, and I'm sorry, who was the fourth?
Rome.
Rome Odunze. Okay. So, I'm going to steer clear of Rome. I kind of, again, this is one of those ones where I like the talent. I like him for season-long purposes. But of the options you have, I kind of want to wait on him just a bit, especially. And I guess I don't want to talk both sides of my mouth when I say, okay, I'm not going to assume I know. I do know how Brian Flores likes to operate. I do know he likes to blitz. He likes to do his best to confuse young quarterbacks. And I think, I think that's going to be the template that we're going to see tomorrow. So I'm going to wait on Rome. And Jamison, it basically for me comes down to Jamison Williams versus DK Metcalf. And I think, Scott, I would roll with DK Metcalf just because I think he's the clear number one option in their offense. We know what Jamison Williams is capable of. We know he's got the big play potential. That's part of the reason why they locked him up overnight. If you missed it, the Lions extended Jamison Williams' 3-year deal. $83 million, $67 guaranteed, I believe. So he's clearly a part of their future, and I think it's certainly possible that it kind of becomes a 1-1A in Detroit. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams are going to both be very productive wide receivers. But as much as I love Ben Johnson for the Bears and how he's going to, I think, bring the offensive level up for them, that does concern me for Detroit's offense in terms of fantasy football. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to get his. He's just too talented not to feature him, and he's always going to be a home run threat. Honestly, I said this, last year. I said this in his rookie year. When he gets the football, he's the closest thing that I remember seeing to Barry Sanders play. And, coincidentally, he wears a Lions uniform. So I don't know if that's partially factoring in when I watch him play, but he's so explosive. He's going to get his in new OC John Morton's offense. It's just, he's undeniable. You have to get him the ball, and he's going to still get you explosive plays. What I'm not sure of is how the targets are going to be divvied up amongst players like Amon-Ra, Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta. How many pass? I don't know if we're going to see this huge volume that we saw with Amon-Ra in the past in Ben Johnson's offense. So he's probably the one I'm most concerned about. I think Jameson Williams, he had 1,000 yards last year, just 1,001 actually. And so he's, I think, an explosive player who's probably likely to go up. So I'm glad you have him on your roster, Scott. But I think today I would use DK Metcalf because I think he's likely to be the clear number one offensive threat for the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers today. So I'd go with him and what I think is going to be the biggest volume. 312-332-3776. That's the phone number if you want to jump on in and talk some fantasy football with me here to 8 o'clock on ESPN 1000.
This is the Fantasy Football Show with the guru of fantasy football, Jeff Meller. Back after this on ESPN 1000.
A Progressive Home and Auto Bundle can protect you round the clock, but we can't protect you from those painful moments in sports.
Oh, I can't believe we blew a 5-touchdown lead.
Sure, but you got to feel like they were going to win for almost the entire game.
But I was about to buy playoff tickets.
So you were prepared for a good time. That's pretty nice.
It's the worst loss any team has ever had.
And you got to witness history.
Okay, we're done here.
Well, at least your home and auto are protected with a bundle from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
My name is Georgios Tsetis. I'm the co-founder of Nutrafol. My hair started thinning in my early 20s. I tried everything, and nothing was really working. So we created Nutrafol. Our hair growth supplements undergo clinical trials and have helped millions of men and women get visibly thicker and stronger hair in just 3 to 6 months.
Get growing at Nutrafol.com. That's Nutrafol.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Do you ever scream at your screen when your 5G internet freezes? It's the worst. So why not switch to Astound? Wi-Fi that just works. With Astound Wi-Fi, you'll rage less, buffer less, and live more. Lock in gig speed Wi-Fi for just $35 a month, guaranteed for 3 years. Plus, get up to a $200 Amazon gift card. Astound Wi-Fi, it just works. Visit Astound.com today.
Has the excitement of betting turned into worry? Feeling overwhelmed every time you roll the dice? Problem gambling doesn't just affect your wallet. It can impact your health, relationships, and peace of mind. But there's hope. Gateway Foundation is here to help you take back control of your life with personalized treatment options. You don't have to face this alone. Call Gateway Foundation today at 844-444-5780. That's 844-444-5780.
Save big on everything for your next project when you shop at Menards. Atlas Roofing is the best value in architectural shingles. They feature a limited lifetime and wind warranty, up to 130 miles per hour. And their super wide design saves on installation time. Plus, get a free estimate fast on your entire shingle project with our easy-to-use design program. In-store or on Menards.com.
Save big money at Menards.
At your Chicago area IKEA store, they believe everyone deserves a beautiful and affordable living experience. Transform your home with stylish furniture and home accessories without breaking the bank. From comfortable and fashionable sofas and sectionals to kitchens full of inspiration to bedrooms designed to help you find your best sleep and relaxation. IKEA's home furnishings combine form and function to fit your lifestyle and budget. Visit IKEA in Schaumburg or Bolingbrook today or shop online at ikea.com/US and check out their new local pickup points in your neighborhood.
The Fantasy Football Show is back with a guru of fantasy football, Jeff Meller.
He's listed as questionable. Questionable. What does that mean? No one knows what that means.
Dial us up at 312-332-ESPN.
I mean, they know if they're playing. They know. They should tell us.
That's 312-332-3776. This is The Fantasy Football Show on Chicago's home for sports, ESPN 1000 and 100.3 HD2.
Herbert gets the snap, back to pass, sets his feet, rush coming, lobs it down the middle, wide open, Johnson at the 5, into the end zone, touchdown Chargers, second touchdown catch tonight for Quentin Johnston.
The Sao Paulo game in Brazil, the Chargers beat the Chiefs. Justin Herbert, monster fantasy game, and I will say, if he's somebody who's floating around out there, I think he's worth scooping up on your roster, especially if you waited on quarterback and Herbert wasn't somebody that you drafted. I did pick him in a couple of leagues. I think second year with Jim Harbaugh could be much better offensively for Justin Herbert. I think they're going to open the offense up a little bit more, and we saw some of that on Friday night as Justin Herbert went for 318 yards, 3 touchdowns, and, of course, the big run to seal it. He rushed for 32 yards, and, he does have the ability to run. And, I know everybody's enamored with the running quarterbacks, as you should be. You don't want an absolute stat Shuba if you can avoid it. Although Joe Burrow finds a way to be very productive without doing a whole bunch of running. But someone like Justin Herbert, who I think people were a little bit scared with because he did not go over 4,000 yards last year, but he was still so efficient outside of the playoff game. But he had 23 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions last season. So, I do think let's not forget that Justin Herbert threw for over 5,000 yards in his second season. And he also had some prolific touchdown numbers. I think he threw like 38 that year. So, if he was not drafted, I think he's worth grabbing because I could very easily envision a scenario where Justin Herbert gets back into the top 5 fantasy quarterbacks when all is said and done this season. So if, keep that in mind, someone worth grabbing if you didn't invest highly in someone like a Josh Allen. And look, even if you did draft Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, if Herbert's out there, I think he's worth trying to make room on your roster because if he does, we will very quickly know by week 3 or 4 if the Chargers are opening it up more offensively. He's going to be someone that you're going to want on a roster who you could maybe deal, from a position of strength. So make sure that he's not available in your league. If he is, make sure that you make him somewhat of a priority as a pickup next week for week 2. I'm Jeff Meller. This is the Fantasy Football Show, taking your calls every Sunday morning, talking fantasy football with you. Let's try Julian, who is in St. Louis. What's up, Julian?
Hey, Jeff. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well.
Yeah. So I was going to kind of transition from the original question I had. It was going to be a flex position, but I think I'm going to go with Pearsall there. So It's really between my last running back spot between Jaylen Warren or Kenneth Walker.
All right, so I know that all the reports are that Jaylen Warren's going to be the lead back. I do think the Jets are still a good defense, and I like Kenneth Walker a lot. So, I think Kenneth Walker, I know he was dealing with some injury issues in the preseason. I think, though, that this week, because I don't feel confident that Jaylen Warren is necessarily, in that same tier as Kenneth Walker, I'm going to go with Walker this week. I'm going to wait to see how Jaylen Warren is used, especially because I do think that the Jets are going to be one of those better defenses. So, the combination of Walker is a tier above him for me, and I don't know. I want to kind of wait and see with Warren that he's absolutely, the clear number 1 guy before I go ahead and use him above Walker.
Thanks, Jeff.
No
Appreciate
problem.
it.
Thank you, Julian. Appreciate the call. 312-332-3776. Let's try Arnold, who's in Homewood. What's going on, Arnie?
Oh, going all right. Good morning. I want to know, should I start Emeka Egbuka for Tampa Bay or DJ Moore for the Bears? Standard league.
Okay, standard. Interesting, because, I think this one's a tough call for me. I don't usually love starting rookies in their first game over a consistent veteran, but because I in some ways Ben Johnson, again, a little bit, I think it's going to be better as the season progresses, and I'm a little bit concerned here early on with the offense. I actually think I can't do it. I was going to walk myself through it and say, you know what, maybe I would use the rookie, but no. DJ Moore, veteran, I think there's a better floor there. So, and especially in non-PPR, I think you know that he's going to be decent volume. For me, rookies who I haven't seen just yet, I can't use him over DJ Moore. So I'm still going DJ Moore, Arnold. Hopefully that one works out for you. Let's try Lou in Elk Grove. Louie, what's up, buddy?
Hey, good morning, Jeff. How you doing?
Doing well.
Hey, I have a question. If the guy who has CMC hasn't picked up Brian Robinson, would you drop one of these guys to pick him up? I got Korsky Marriott, Jerome Ford, or Jordan Mason.
Bill, Ford, and Jordan Mason. So would you drop any of them for Brian Robinson, and you are not the Christian McCaffrey owner? So, correct. You know what, Lou? I think I would, if you don't need to use Jerome Ford, I think I would consider dropping Ford and picking up Brian Robinson. And actually, I think I would be aggressive, and I think I would make that move. And I'll talk you through it. Here's why. I think ultimately Jerome Ford, especially with Quinshon Judkins signing his contract, he's going to be inactive today, but the Browns signed him yesterday. So, I anticipate Judkins will be the lead back within a couple of weeks for the Browns. I'm not going to assume suspension. The case was dismissed, so I assume that Judkins in all likelihood will not be suspended this year by the NFL. So I think that kind of really dampens Jerome Ford's value. And for me, this is about swing for the fences, because if we find out today that Christian McCaffrey is inactive, all of a sudden, every alarm bells are going to be going off. Everybody's going to be very concerned about McCaffrey for the full season, and we should be if he doesn't play in week 1 here. And Brian Robinson all of a sudden goes from somebody who is just a handcuff to somebody who could very well be a huge difference maker in fantasy football, because even though I don't think week 1 he's going to necessarily be the guy who would be featured, because I mentioned it at the top of the show. Isaac Guerendo, I think, could see more carries today if McCaffrey does not play. But again, I do want to reiterate, the reports are that McCaffrey is likely to play. But based on what we saw last year, we want to be cautious. And I don't think you'll regret cutting Jerome Ford for the season. Jerome Ford might have the best day of all the guys you mentioned today between, Korsky Merritt and, Ford and, Robinson. I think he might have the biggest day today, but when Judkins gets worked in, he will be, to me, the clear featured back in Cleveland. Brian Robinson, if anything happens to McCaffrey, is going to be somebody who could be a top 10 running back very quickly in Kyle Shanahan's offense. So that's the type of player that you want to have on your roster, a guy who can all of a sudden change the outlook of your fantasy fate for the season, because all of a sudden you've got a top 10 running back when you didn't have to draft him in the first couple rounds. Those are the players you want on your roster. Someone like Jerome Ford, I think until there's an injury in the Cleveland backfield that will propel him into, consistent featured back role, I don't think he's going to be a difference maker most weeks. He's just going to be a guy who you're okay plugging in bye weeks, and maybe as a flex play, better in PPR, but not somebody who I think week in and week out you're going to feel great about, he's locked into my lineup. If anything happens to McCaffrey, though, by week 3 or week 4, Brian Robinson is somebody who will be locked into almost every lineup out there. So I think that's where you're swinging for upside, swinging for the fences, go with the upside in fantasy football, because those guys are definitely difference makers. 312-332-3776. Last chance to get in and talk some fantasy football with me before 8 o'clock. I'm Jeff Meller. This is ESPN 1000.
This is the Fantasy Football Show. Back after this on ESPN 1000.
The post-career day press conference brought to you by Progressive.
Anthony, can you tell us what happened during career day?
I'm a biomedical researcher. The kids just weren't impressed.
How did you feel when your son called in the backup?
Embarrassed, and I knew it would be a fireman. It's always a fireman. It's cliche, but a crowd favorite. He had an axe and everything. I can't compete with that.
And will the fireman be helping your son with his science fair project?
Hope not. I'm literally a scientist.
Like it or not, sometimes you need a backup. That's why there's Progressive to protect your home and auto. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
GNC knows that you're not always feeling it at the gym, but don't get down, get lit, and get more out of every workout. Beyond Raw Lit is a clinically dosed pre-workout that flips the switch and gives you more energy, focus, intensity, and pumps. The perfect combo for a killer workout. Plus, it's got incredible flavors and thousands of 5-star reviews, so you know it's good. Pick it up at GNC stores or go to gnc.com.
At Wintrust, our approach is to let Southside fans show off their Southside pride anytime, anywhere. With the White Sox debit card from Wintrust Community Banks, you're not just swiping, you're making a statement.
It's like a megaphone for your wallet.
Broadcasting your Sox pride with every transaction. Open an eligible checking account. Visit wintrust.com/Sox today. Wintrust. Different approach, better results. Member FDIC.
You ever notice that some people are picky when it comes to their beer?
Yeah, and Yuengling gets it. That's why they brew a beer for everyone's taste.
You want something light and easy? They've got it. Rich and toasty? That too. Something classic? That's their bread and butter.
So whether you're on the golf course, watching the game, or grilling in the backyard, there's a Yuengling for the occasion.
Check out the lineup next time you're out. You might end up bringing home more than one.
Yuengling, the oldest brewery in America.
DG Yuengling & Son, Pottsville, PA.
Apt, your number one destination for the home, is here to help you create the ultimate fall backyard. Make gatherings cozier with top-rated fire pits or outdoor heaters, and elevate your space with their selection of outdoor TVs. For relaxed family nights, start up the fire table and enjoy s'mores with the kids, or host game day get-togethers, parties, and more in comfort thanks to their premium outdoor seating options. For free and home delivery, professional installation, and complete satisfaction, shop my favorite store in the world, Apt, pleasing people since 1936.
Hey, Chicago, it's Sylvie for my friends at Window Nation. Now is the best time of year to replace your old, drafty, cheap, or builder-grade windows. And WindowNation.com can get the job done in 1 day or less. Right now, when you buy 2 windows, you'll get 2 free, plus you won't make any payments for 2 years. No interest, no monthly payments, no down payment. Don't miss out on Window Nation's most popular offer. Get top-quality replacement windows at an affordable price. 866-90Nation or WindowNation.com.
You're listening to The Fantasy Football Show with Jeff Meller. Presented by Tullamore Dew on ESPN 1000 and the ESPN Chicago app.
Wrapping up episode number 1 of the 2025 Fantasy Football Show here on ESPN 1000. Can't wait for NFL Sunday to get going. Of course, you can also hear me at noon today as I get you set for White Sox baseball. Pre-game coverage starts at noon. White Sox wrapping up their 7-game road trip against the Detroit Tigers today at Comerica Park. They'll have an off day on Monday. Perfectly timed there, so you can focus on the Bears. Finally set the Sox aside for a day as they're in the midst of 17 straight games. But yeah, I'll be back at noon with your White Sox pregame coverage. First pitch coming your way at 12:40. But of course, we are focused on fantasy football right now, each and every Sunday morning, here with you at 7 a.m. on ESPN 1000, talking fantasy football. Let's go out to Bridgeport and say good morning to Diane. What's going on, Diane?
Hey, Jeff, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Happy fantasy football season.
Yes, happy fantasy football season to you as well.
I got a quarterback issue. Jordan Love, Jaden Daniels, or Michael Penix, who we picked up late in the rounds.
Okay, and you only need one of those, Diane?
No, only one.
Okay, yeah, no, this is easy. I mean, don't overthink it. You drafted Jaden Daniels very high for a reason. I guess I'll ask the question, are you concerned about the Giants early on, or what's the reason for, kind of questioning it in any way?
You know what? It's just the first day of the season, and And I watched I have CD Lamb drop 3 big passes at the end of the game the other day.
Sure.
So it's just checking in.
All right. No. Yeah, don't overthink that. That's pretty easy. Jaden Daniels, those, I guess that's, for anybody out there, don't get cute, right? Play your studs. There's a reason why you drafted them very high. Jaden Daniels most weeks is going to be very productive. And I always like to say, too, listen, I can't predict the future. It's certainly possible that Jordan Love and Michael Penix could end up having bigger weeks. But what I will tell you is that there's certain players that you just want to roll with each and every week. And Jaden Daniels is one of those players that until he really proves there's a reason why we should be concerned this year, he runs so much, touchdowns, rushing touchdowns, always a threat. You definitely want to use him until you see there's a reason not to use him. So I would not concern myself with the fact that, Jaden Daniels didn't necessarily, there's no reason not to start Jaden Daniels this week. So don't worry about that. All right, we're coming up here on the final couple minutes here on the Fantasy Football Show.
We're coming up in the 2-minute warning.
This is the 2-minute warning.
And that'll take us to the 2-minute warning.
Fast and furious, final couple of minutes here on the Fantasy Football Show. I am Jeff Meller. Again, you can follow me as always on X at Jeff_Meller. That's MELLER. I will say with White Sox duties that I'm not going to promise to answer everybody's questions via X or Twitter. So if you want me to answer something for you, please get it to me early, because once we roll into the 11 o'clock hour, may not, at least during White Sox season through the remainder of September, might be a little more difficult for me to get the answers out there on social media. So just make sure that you get those in. All right, so a couple of questions that I have received so far on X is I wait for it to load here. Apologies. Not loading. All right, so let's see. The latest here that I received. The Mad Hatter wanted to know. Thought I had it here. He said Pearsall or Rome. And I think I had a similar question earlier, Mad Hatter. I'm going to use Ricky Pearsall over Rome Odunze today just because I kind of want to see Ben Johnson's offense operate in Chicago. Of course, you can hear that right here on your home of the Chicago Bears tomorrow night, Monday Night Football. The kickoff, 7:15 for Monday Night Football. Of course, though, we'll have your network coverage starting at 5 o'clock with Waddle, Sylvie, and Deion Miller. They'll start your pregame coverage. And, of course, Yurko and Peggy will be on after the game wraps up with your postgame show, your network postgame show. And then I should mention that I will be up late tomorrow night with Jason McKee and Pat the Designer for your postgame show of Bears and Vikings breakdown. So I just wanted to make sure that you're all aware. I will still be doing some post-game coverage for Bears on your home of the Chicago Bears, ESPN 1000. Quickly recapping, too, the news of the day. If you missed it, Christian McCaffrey likely to play. That's right. The reports are that even though he is dealing with the calf injury that he was put on the injured report for, he is likely to play. So that's the good news there. You can probably anticipate he should be in your lineup. But again, check the inactives. They roll in right around 1 of 30 today. So that is going to pretty much wrap us up here on the Fantasy Football Show. I want to say thanks to Jake Santos for waking up with us early this morning here on Sunday. Full White Sox coverage, again, starts at noon today, right? White Sox and Tigers. So noon today, 12:40 first pitch, but I'll have your pregame coverage and Len and DJ take over. So that does it for us right here on the ESPN 1000 and ESPN Chicago app.
This is the Fantasy Football Show.
Make-believe computer football is no excuse for using the internet to be mean.
Back after this on ESPN 1000.
That's the ease at which you get information. You want it, you get it. Like that. Ask your phone. Group chat. Smartphone. You're always connected and informed in real time. No waiting. So if you're diabetic and still using finger sticks to read your blood sugar, what are you waiting for? Knowing your blood sugar levels instantly is important for managing diabetes. Call US Med at 888-665-0696. To learn more about continuous glucose monitors, a real-time instant method to track your blood glucose, US Med is an approved provider for Medicare and over 1,000 private insurers. And the best part? Call 888-665-0696 and we'll give you a free insurance benefits check today. So call 888-665-0696 today. That's 888-665-0696 and manage your diabetes as easy as...
White Sox fans, there's still time to win an incredible experience this season. Enter the Ultimate Fan Sweepstakes for a chance to win a 2026 Diamond Suite. The winner will receive a 20-person suite for a mutually agreed-upon game in 2026 to host up to 19 friends and family in style. To enter, visit whitesox.com/sweepstakes.
Hey, it's your friend Tom Waddle. On the field, every great team starts with a strong defense, and the same's true in business. That's why companies trust my friends at Trend Micro. They protect your network, your cloud, your data, and your people from ransomware, phishing, and today's toughest cyber threats. With AI-powered proactive security, Trend Micro stops attacks before they ever reach you. Trusted worldwide and backed by over 35 years of innovation, this is enterprise defense done right. Go to trendmicro.com today. That's trendmicro.com.
Good Karma Brands is proud to be an equal opportunity employer. Our policy is to provide equal opportunity employment, development, and advancement to all current and potential teammates. If you are an organization that maintains a job bank, provides employment information, or gives job referrals, you may request to be placed on the station's mailing list for future career opportunities. To learn more about careers at Good Karma Brands, please email careers@goodkarmabrands.com.
Hey, I'm your mountain bike. Been a minute since we hit the trail. Why not roll me over to Goodwill? Donating me helps Goodwill's mission to provide career training and support services right here in the community. And that keeps us all moving. Donate today. On your left. To find your nearest Goodwill locations and to learn more about our mission, please visit goodwill.org. Goodwill, where your things start new lives.
This is ESPN Chicago, WNVP, WTBC, HD2 Chicago, a Good Karma Brands radio station.
I'm Nick DeLuca. NFL Sunday returning today. Busy Saturday in college football, and there was a shocker at the Swamp.
Snap, hold, kick. Good! The Bulls have beaten Florida on the last play of the game. South Florida 18, Florida 16. Two top 25 teams down, one to go next week.
That's the USF Radio Network. Bulls win as an 18.5-point underdog at number 13, Florida. Back-to-back rank wins for the Bulls after beating Boise in Week 1. They're the fourth team in the AP poll era since 1936 to win their first two games against ranked opponents while being unranked, joining North Carolina in 1976, East Carolina in 2008, and Oregon State in 2012. They play number 5 Miami next week. In the NFL, Jets and Steelers kick off their seasons at the Meadowlands today. Coverage beginning at noon Eastern here on ESPN Radio, followed by Niners and Seahawks in the 4 p.m. window. Lions opening against the Packers, getting a deal done with wide receiver Jameson Williams last night. It's a 3-year, $83 million extension with $67 million guaranteed. Williams, coming off his first 1,000-yard receiving season, was entering the 4th year of his rookie contract. Lions not expected to reach a deal with all-pro edge rusher Aiden Hutchinson before the season gets going.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Canty, coming up Monday. Week 1 in the NFL, college football, and, of course, Major League Baseball. And I'll recap it all in my Upon Further Review at 7 a.m. Eastern. It's Unsportsmanlike weekday mornings at 6, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Windy City in the Deep South. This is the best week ever with Peter Burns and Courtney Cronin on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
You the best. You the best. You the best. You the best.
Put the threes up. It is hour number 3. Best week ever. Peter Burns, Courtney Cronin. 3 is also the number of how many hats and changes of outfits that Courtney Cronin is going to need on the sidelines for what could be a rainy Steelers-Jets game. It'll be fascinating to see that matchup as the NFL is here. College football, we've been breaking down those games. If you want, you can get on hold. 888-SAY-ESPN. We're going to have a little Sunday morning therapy for you college football fans coming up in just 10 minutes. But right now, the NFL has arrived. So 2 games earlier this week. We saw 2 great games. Eagles-Cowboys was awesome with the Eagles getting that victory. And down in Brazil, you had the Chargers defeating the Chiefs. We get right into it. A little NFL whip around. Lions, Packers. Dave Burkett, let's roll.
Lions at Packers.
All right, so, Dave, let's start with this. Everybody in the Lions players, they seem to have gotten a huge contract extension, but we see all new coordinators as well, too. How is that going to play out against this Green Bay squad right from the jump?
Yeah, Jameson Williams got the big deal yesterday. It's about $800 million they've now committed to their stars here in the last 16 or so months. They're going to need those guys because there are some questions about both play callers, new guys on both sides of the ball, especially John Morton filling some big shoes from Ben Johnson. And the other big question about the Lions is the reconfigured interior offensive line. So this is a really good team, a really talented team, but there are a few little hurdles they have to clear here early in the season to get back to where they were last year.
Dave, what do we think about this Micah Parsons deal in Green Bay right now? Like, he's going to play. We don't exactly know how much. Is there any thought from the Detroit side of things that maybe they do run a little hurry up with Johnny Moe calling the plays to keep Micah Parsons on the field to try to take advantage of that matchup with a player who's not at 100%?
Yeah, I think what the Lions were expecting was that Micah Parsons will play in, some obvious passing situations. He's a guy who didn't have a whole lot of camp, right? He was sitting out because of that back problem or the contract or whatever it was, and now being part of a new defense, they certainly know how good Micah Parsons is, having played the Cowboys the last couple of years. But I can tell you some of the Lions are happy that Kenny Clark is gone too. So it'll be a new look defense, and yeah, I think the Lions aren't fearing Micah Parsons, and they expect that he'll be out there on passing downs.
Great stuff from Dave Burkett there. If you see also the reason why that they don't fear the Packers, Detroit has won 6 of the last 7 against Green Bay. We'll see how that plays out coming up a little bit later. Next one.
Bengals at Browns.
Kelsey Conway, Bengals beat reporter for Cincinnati, joining us right now. And Kelsey, this was the record for the Bengals to start the season over the last couple seasons has been wild. I was just telling Courtney, this is shocking. Bengals are 1-11 since 2019 in their first 2 weeks of the season. How in the world did they get off to a better start, and what's been going wrong with them?
Yeah, so that's been the biggest conversation this offseason in Cincinnati is how do they fix the slow start issue, as you just said. That's the record under Zach Taylor. In each of the last 3 years, they've started 0-2, and it's cost them playoff spots at the end of the season. So this offseason, they dedicated the entire spring to figuring out a way that they could change up training camp so it felt different. They changed it from previously they had afternoon practices. They switched to morning practices, which switched the meeting schedule time.